Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, hi, my name's Jean Walsh, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about Saltillo, the special tools and tricks that we've developed in the Word Power files for literacy and more. So, I am a consultant for Saltillo. People get communication devices. I train people on communication devices, and I also train those around the people so they can be better communication partners. Okay, let's get going. So as far as Saltillo, I just want to talk to you briefly about what our company is as far as communication devices. We have the NovaChats, and we have one app, the Touch Chat app. So the NovaChats are all the same on the inside. They just are different sizes. So the 5 is like a phone, and then the 8, 10, 12. The Touch Chat Express is actually a iPad device that can go through funding. But if your funding determines a device has to be locked from the internet, Touch Chat Express, any iPad device is not really very useful when they're locked from the internet, because the iPad doesn't let you get into anything else, not even the camera. Your updates are harder, everything. So if you need a dedicated device, the NovaChats as a dedicated device allow you to go to the camera and to other things. So please go that route. They're pretty much the same on the inside, or just get an iPad with the app on it. And the Chat Fusion is the other device that we have, and that has an optional head pointer, which has the dot on it. And also it works really well with switch users because they are not plugging into the Bluetooth. Our other devices, the speaker is Bluetooth connected, and Bluetooth, as good as it is, it still needs to be charged more, and you can have just issues with it. So if you have somebody who's doing a switch, then I would look at the Chat Fusion.
How many apps are there for the iPad? There's
just the one, Touch Chat. Oh yeah, the Touch Chat HD would be for the bigger ones, but actually I think they're all kind of, it's all, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's not really that little tiny phone thing anymore, right? Or
yeah,
you can put the HD on your phone now. So,
okay.
And if you get the Touch Chat app, and as long as you're using the same iTunes, you can put it on, like if mom has a phone to put it on, and then the student has a device, right, you can do that. Okay, so what I'm mainly going to talk about today is literacy and how you can use a communication device to help with that. So first, when you think about what is literacy, literacy is the ability to read and write. So now let's think about how an AAC device helps when we're teaching literacy. So most of your schools use some sort of sight words. And there's many different lists. There's the Dolch list, there's the Fry's list, there's, I can't think of the other names, but there's other lists that your school, your elementary school, is probably using for sight words for preschool, kindergarten, first grade, so that they're helping those kids use those words. So if you look at a Word Power 60 file, and everything that has a red circle on it is also incorporated into the, is one of those sight words. So a lot of times with teachers, we're actually saying the same thing when we talk about core words as an SLP, and we talk about sight words as an elementary school teacher. So sometimes that helps teachers get on the same page with you when you're actually working like, oh, we're just working on those early beginning sight words, core words. And that's what everybody's trying to do. So a few facts about literacy and AAC. Back in the 90s even, they were doing some research on this and finding that expressive and receptive communication and reading and writing, they all are mixed together. They all sort of help form it together. So children with severe speech impairments are often not considered good candidates for literacy. And that's what they were seeing in the field in 1990. It didn't mean that they really weren't, it was just meant that they weren't seen like that. So many children who have AAC devices and do not have much exposure to either reading or writing. So as they move through primary school, all these skills, they're just, you know, getting behind and behind every year. So now that we know that core words and sight words are often the same, it seems like it might be a little easier for teachers' goals and SLP goals to be more aligned. So, you know, in the past, I've tried to talk to teachers like, these are some really great goals that, you know, you should be using. But really, if you work together with them and you talk about core words and sight words together and you have the same goals and they're not so separate, it might help the team all focus on the same thing for success, because it's all going to work using the device with core words and getting the students to read and write is all going to work together. So one of the first things that we have that's relatively new, it's a lock page button. So this is one of the new features that we hope helps people use the device in more of a learning tool. It was added last fall, and it's just on certain pages in Word Power files. So when you think about Word Power, it's a language, a vocabulary file that helps people create sentences quickly on the fly. So it's very generative. As a sentence is being built, you often find that the next word you want to say, it just pops up for you. So that's what Word Power is all about. And that really helps our users. But sometimes you want to stay on that page. You want to use that language to teach a concept, or you're teaching the meaning of words. So now you have control to stay on the page with a lock page button. So think about why you would be using that. When you're teaching the language or using it for activities. So if you go to the descriptors page, the little pink button on the main page, you go to that and you'll see this lock page button is sitting there over on the right. It's bright green, it really stands out. And that button will help you stay on this page. So if you want to talk about the concepts of big and little, or the concept of cold and hot, fast and slow, you can do activities, you can play games, you can have little cars and talk about going fast and going slow. You can do all sorts of things with it, and you don't have to worry that the page is going back to home and then you have to figure out how to go there. You're not talking about a big tree, you're just talking about the concept of big. So just hit the lock page button and it'll stay there. Now, the buttons that have an arrow that are programmed to go to another page, those ones are still going to go to another page. So here, let me show you quickly. Is it going with me? Maybe.
It's a black screen. Showing it.
It is showing it?
Not showing the. Maybe do share screen.
That?
Well,
Oh, no.
yeah, hover over that. Do new share. And then I wonder, is that it? Oh. Yeah, just do your desktop, and then everything that comes up should share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if we go to the home button, and then we go to descriptors. Then you notice that when you hit big, normally you're in a sentence and it's going to say like big what. So you takes you back to the home page so you can finish that. So if you go back to descriptors and you hit the lock page button, now when you hit big, it's going to stay there. So now you can show something, is it big or is it little? And you can talk about things being fast or being slow. And the page isn't going to go anywhere. Now if you look at the descriptors A to Z button's got an arrow on it. So if you select that, then it's going to go to that page. For those of you that don't know this, just quickly, if the student is making a sentence and thinking of an adjective and maybe they want to say something's pretty and you can get them to think of P as the first letter, then it's much easier to find pretty on that page. So just another side thing. Okay. Now, is it still with me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So that's the lock page icon. So think about more whys. Why would you use that? Feel free to add in anything that you think might help. Talking about people, talking about prepositions, teaching and talking about places, talking about your birthday month. So there's a lot of places that you can have that lock page button. And if you think of a page that you want it on in the vocabulary and it's not there, most of you probably know it's really easy just in edit mode to copy that button and paste it where you want it to go.
I don't know if this is a relevant question or not, but when you hit the lock, it locks it in. You don't have to.
Right. You don't have to
click it and then unlocks it again. You don't have to hold it down.
Right. Exactly. It toggles back and forth.
Right. If the user had to do something to, in case they go over and hit it to unlock the screen.
Right.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. It does. It just toggles back and forth. Yeah. 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 That is good. So the other thing that we recently have added are the early books reading pages. And you will find this button after you go to groups and then reading, and the whole reading page over on the right side, I'll show you in a minute, has this button and it just says early books and it's got a big arrow on it. So the early books reading pages, it came from a program that you can actually buy right now on the Attainment Company. And I think it's around $100. But it's a really nice reading curriculum, and it was designed for preschool classrooms. And we did a study with Carol Zangari and Lori Weiss, and they did a bunch of preschools in Florida. And these preschools had kids who had limited language, and they either were using AAC or they needed something to help augment their communication. So they were just language delayed. So this program uses regular books that you would be reading to your kids anyway, and it has a bunch of different multi-level instructions on it. So what we developed with them were pages that go with each book. And so that they have core language on them, plus the words from the book. So it really helps the kids understand the meaning. And also in these programs, which all this stuff is available on our website, they had great big wall boards, so the kids could actually walk up to it and get them. Some of them had the boards on the floor in their classrooms, so the kids could just walk over and pick them up. So that worked out really well. So if you look at this, there's 11 books, and then there's templates. If these books aren't the favorite ones that you're reading all the time and you want to do your own, you can do that. So if you, like I said, go to groups and then reading, and then early books, this is where what you'll see. And so then you can click on any of these, and I can show you that again, hopefully. Did it stay with me?
Yep.
Okay. So if you go to groups and then reading and then early books, and let's say that you're working on the book No David. And so here you have most of the words that are repetitive words in the reading book, No David. And you have some of the main lines, right? Like David's mom always said, okay, so then you can go, No David. And, you know, if the kids want to comment on it, they can love David, whatever they want. So you can talk about him being messy, and mom wanted him to be neat. So it has a lot of communication options, not just reading the book, but actually talking about the book. So yeah, and the templates, I guess I want to show you that. The templates still have some core language on them, because if those 11 books, if you have older kids, but you're working on early literacy skills and you're reading the same book, you know, 4 and 5 times, you can make a page that has the concepts of that book on there. So let's talk about pre-writing skills a little bit. These are some sample writings from a toddler. And this is Megan, who I work with. This is her daughter, Tess. And so her daughter, when she was a toddler, the one on the left is just the scribbling that she did, right? And it's her sample writing. And then mom probably went in there and said, oh, it looks kind of like maybe you're making a T because your name is Tess and it starts with a T. And then later on in the next year, you can see up on the top corner of the preschooler one, she's starting to put her name in there. She's starting to get Tess in there. So what we do with our kids who don't have as many physical disabilities, we would probably be working with them and talking to them. They just scribble and you're like, oh yeah, that's a T in there. You're doing your name. And so you're making something out of it that might not have been in there, but you're planting the seed of writing and you're showing them that what they put on paper has meaning. So the same kind of thing with the alternative pencil scribbling. If you've seen any of Karen Erickson's stuff in the last 10 years, she's been talking a lot about the alternative pencil and using keyboards and getting kids to understand that what they are putting down when they're writing with their keyboards, it is meaningful. So the same thing, let's say this was Tess's scribbling on the keyboard, right? A lot of parents will say to me like, oh, you know, he keeps on going to the keyboard page and just pounding it away. Well, that's actually a good thing because he's looking at the letters and he's getting the sounds of them. And it's, you know, it might be annoying to you and you might want to limit the time on it, but it's really nice to have them concerned about letters and working with the alternative pencil. So this, you know, if Tess was doing this, oh, look at, you got a T in there. That's your name, Tess. Okay, isn't that wonderful? So then later on, the next time she's got it, maybe she's sitting there just doing 100 T's, you know, just T, 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 because she's figuring out that this means something. And of course, it's most little kids, right? The meaning, when it talks about themselves, that's going to be more meaningful to them. So now, you know, back to this one, it's like, oh, you got all the T's for Tess. Okay, what's that last sound? Oh, we got S's in there. So now the next time she's doing T with S's on it. So she's getting closer, right? So now what we've done after listening a lot to Karen Erickson and thinking like, okay, we have the keyboard there, the scribbling, the alternative keyboard pencil is there, but what we didn't have is we didn't have a way to save the document. So now on every keyboard that we have, on the bottom page, on the bottom corner of it, in the right corner, there's a button that says Save Document. So all of this scribbling here, after they've done their scribbling and they're showing you, and they're so proud of it, then you can go, oh, let's save this document. When you touch that button, it goes to a page that right here, and this page is all of the saving pages. And what they say when you, the first time you go to it, each one says stories and saved phrases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you can add more, you can have as many as you want. So then what you as the adult does is you actually program these buttons, and you know, so that you're going to say like, okay, this one is Tessa's writings, the next one is going to be about trips. You give them names for what they're going to be. So then you go into, she will, you know, you will go, oh, we're going to save that. Let's go to Tessa's writings. And on this, when you hit the save message button, and then you tell it where you want it to save that message. So whatever you have up in that speech display bar is going to go there. Let me show you on the chat editor. So here we are on a keyboard. I'm going to go to my beginning keyboard. And so I better put something up there. And then, so I'm going to save this document. And I'm going to go to the one that says Tessa's writing. And when I hit that, the next thing I do, I go to save message. And you're always going to get this warning. It's always going to tell you that the next button you hit is where your message is going to go. So you just say, okay. And so then I'm going to go to the next button over. And now whatever was in that speech display bar goes right there. So you can save their writing samples. If you want to, you can take a picture of them on your phone and you can print that out from your phone if you have that option. And then you can put it on the refrigerator. You can do whatever with it. It's their writing. Okay. So any questions or? Okay. Go back. Okay, so that's the save message button. So the next thing I want to talk to you about that's relatively new is the Phonics Keyboard. So I really, really like this. So this keyboard, we've been asked for a long time for this, and we finally were able to get it together. It is right now in the WordPower 60 basic file and in the WordPower 42 basic file. Now, if you have somebody on a different file, but you still want to have the Phonics keyboard there, it's really easy to import that into their file, and then you can also use this. So the Phonics keyboard is exactly what it says. It is, it is a Phonics keyboard. It says the sounds. So if we go back to the chat editor, go to the ABC keyboard, beginning keyboard, and then Phonics. You can also get to it from the groups page. So the Phonics keyboard, there's two different ones, right? The Phonics with short vowels and the Phonics with long vowels. And it tells you right up there. So I'm going to clear this. And if we're going to type out Tim, I'm not getting any sound.
Should it be?
Probably,
saying
it
the
probably
T?
might be good to hear it. Can you hear it? Go.
Yeah. Try it again.
Let me put it up.
No, I didn't hear that. Wonder why.
You're going to have to practice on your own. Because this just says the USB audio. Oh. So you don't want me to unplug that and plug it back in, do you?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, let me try this. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to clear that and try again. So if we wanted to say Tom, right? And then when you hit the space, it's going to speak in whatever voice you have it there. So that's the short ones. If you want to go. So that's really nice for kids to practice their sounds. So then you can go to the long vowels. And what you'll see on this page is the long vowels, and the vowels all have like a little bit of a yellow behind them. But then on the bottom, there are the silent vowels. So if we wanted to go ride, so it's silent, right? So there you have that. So there's the phonics with the long vowels. So that works out really good. Okay.
It sounds pretty good. Just leave that unplugged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear you really well.
Okay. So somebody was asking the other day about doing a keyboard that has all uppercase letters, because a lot of times kids learn that first. And when you first open up any of our vocabulary files, you're going to see that the ABC goes to the small case one, but you can change that. There is a uppercase keyboard that is inside there that you can link it to instead of that one. And if you need help with that, let me see. I guess I can show you real quick. If you just go to edit mode, you're going to go back and you're going to edit this button right here. This is the button that's going to go to the keyboard, and you go to the actions, and it's going to navigate, and you're going to set a different parameter. And you don't want any animation, and you want the keyboard with all caps labels. So, and they'll show you a picture of it. They do that with anything when you're navigating, so you make sure that you have it right. And then you just go choose, and then you go okay. So now, get out of edit mode. Now when you do that, now you're on the all caps one. So that's a pretty easy fix. I know somebody just recently here changed every single letter for a kid because that was what they wanted. And of course at the time I was like, oh, we talked about doing it, but of course it was there. So, yeah. So that's the Phonics keyboard. And okay, so let's say that you have somebody that's on 42 Basic and they've been on it for a year or so, and so you want them to have that Phonics keyboard, but it's not in there because that's a newer feature, and you don't want to have to change their whole file to the newer one. So you can import these pages right in there. So when you think about that, why it's important, like I said, if it's an update happened, maybe those books happened that you want to go in there, the lock page buttons, any of those pages that you want, you can import them in there. If, let's say, somebody's on a Word Power 20 and you're ready to bump them up to a Word Power 42, but you've done all of this programming on the 20 with all these pictures, so you can actually just take those picture pages, the social pages, and import them into the new file. So there's a lot of reasons why to do it. And so there's a lot of steps involved with it, but it's not really that hard. And you can go to our webpage and see a video, or you can get a printout on how to do it, because I'm just going to go over this sort of quickly, but it's really not that difficult. So the first thing, which might be the hardest thing, is determining the name of the pages to be imported. So let's say, I'm going to use this one because they use this on the video. On the, let's say you have a student on 42 basic, and they go bowling all the time, and instead of you making a bowling page, you know that in the multi-chat 15 adolescent, there is a bowling page on there. So you're going to go to that file and you're going to open it up. And you just do that, you know, just by going into the library, and you open that one up. And when it's opened up, select the menu and go to Edit. And when you're editing this, well, you're not really going to edit it, but you have to have it in edit mode to see the name of it. So it's going to say, well, you have to make a copy. So just say, yes, I'll make that copy of it. So when you are in edit mode, and the device and the chat editor are a little bit different. On the chat editor, it's up on top, where it tells you the name of the page, and on the device, it's on the bottom. So it tells you the name of the page. So just write down the name of those pages. I can show you that quickly on the chat editor. So when you go into edit mode, up on top here, it says it's the KB, which is keyboard, and then all caps labels. If I went to this, it says basic 60 homepage. So the name is always up there. On the device, the name is down here in bright red. So I think it's relatively easy to figure out the name of it. So then once you have decided what pages you want, if you wanted to go to multi-chat 15 and get those bowling pages, you would have that. So then to import them, you just open the vocabulary file that you're going to put them into, which is probably the kids file that you're working with, and you select menu, and that tells you how to do it. And then you just need to go into edit mode and go to pages, select the menu button again, and then go to import. And it just is going to let you check off the ones that you're doing. So let's say let's go back to that example of the bowling. So you would have to open the multi-chat 15 and go to pages, select the ones you want to do, if you want bowling and bingo maybe, and then you hit import, and then they go right into the one you're using. So if you're, you know, whatever one you're importing, that's fine. And then once they've been imported into your file, you need to then make a button that's going to link to those new pages. So if you're on games or something like that, or social, you can make a bowling button and link it to the new pages. So that just tells you how to do that. So then you would have that bowling page, and you can see on the bottom of that was a good shot of what it looks like on the device. It's down on the bottom. And there is a tutorial on this, but if you just play with it, I think you'll probably be able to figure it out. So another feature that I want you to know about is stories and scripts. This has been in our files for quite a long time. Just think it hasn't really been talked about that much, and people really didn't know how to use it, what kind of stories and scripts things it could be for. You know, a lot of times kids in regular classrooms, you know, regular classrooms are usually a lot more teacher talking than kid talking. So they don't have the opportunity to use their device as a communication tool that much because everybody's supposed to be quiet and listen to the teacher. So, and then there's also those kids that are sort of not wanting to always use their device to talk and sort of don't want to be on that stage all the time. So getting them to use their device to write stories is a great way to have them learn their language. So when they do see a need for using their device to communicate orally, they can. So stories and scripts is, if this is on the groups page. So if you were on the home page and then you were up at the groups page, you'll see at the bottom, stories and scripts. So once you select that button, here we are again at the same button that we did for Save Document, right? This was Susie's typing, and then it was to my trip. So again, an adult has programmed this. They came back from break and you were going to talk about, oh, you went on a trip. Let's write a story about your trip, and you can tell people about your trip. So then you get them to agree that that's what they want to write on, whatever it is. And then you go back to the home button and you have your home page, and it's like, okay, what should our first sentence be? You know, how was it? Was it great? Was it boring? Was it fun? You know, you can throw out ideas to get them started. And you can go to the it to get them started. And, you know, the word power file kind of helps after that. So it was, and then you're going to go to the descriptors. It was what? It was great. So that's their first sentence. So after this first sentence, you go back to the groups page and you go to the stories and scripts and you hit my trip. And then you just go down to the save message button. And then you click on that first box. And then that's where the first sentence goes. So yeah, it was a great trip. I can show you real quick. So you're on this. I'm going to get out of edit mode. And so I'm going to go to my groups and I'm going to go to stories and scripts. So here's the my trip, right? So you're going to talk to them, okay, we're going to do this. So then they're going to go to the first button and they're going to say, so here's their first sentence. Okay, that's a great first sentence. Let's go to groups and let's go to stories and scripts. So here's my trip. And we are going to save that message. And again, you always get that saying, yep, okay. And there's their first sentence on it. So, okay, let's write another sentence about it. And then they can go back and write something else on it. Are there any questions or? Okay. Okay, so that's the stories and scripts. One thing I really like about this is if somebody has to do a report in class, you can plan it all beforehand and then they can talk in sentences. So it's not like they have to have this great big scrolling without taking a breath type of talking in there. So another cool thing to do for literacy is making your own books. If you haven't used Tar Heel Reader, do find out about Tar Heel Reader. You can download books. This is Karen Erickson started this, I don't know, at least 10 years ago. So you do have to sign up for this. Sorry, I have to get my... I think I just need to get this bigger. Oh, I can't do it now. Okay, so you're not going to see all of the screen, but when you go to Tar Heel Reader, you have to make an account. They give everybody an account. You do have to ask them for the password. I think the password is always I love reading or something, but just send them an email once you go on the Tar Heel Reader website. And you go to find a book, and then you can put in any topic that you want, and then you just search it, and you can find a lot of cars on here, a lot of books. So they're always PowerPoint books, and they're just, you know, most of them are beginning readers. Most of them are done by teachers or kids that are actually doing it. You can have your kids write books and put them on there, but it's a really wonderful thing. So this is a book that somebody that I work with, Michelle, found, and then by using the chat editor, she was able to put the templates on as to how to say some of these words. And I really like how she did this, because she didn't try to have the kids read every single word. You're not going to do that when they're first using their device. You're going to be teaching them a few words that they're going to be saying as you're reading it. It is cold, and then you're going to show them where to find cold on their device. What will you wear? And you is a word that they're going to need. And so you just find that. The next sentence, it is cold. Again, they're going to say cold. And then put on a hat and put it on your head. So the words, the core words they're going to use is on. So that's the word that they're learning as they're reading this book. So you're showing them the pathway to that. And it's really easy because all these books are all in PowerPoint. So all you have to do is copy and paste from Chat Editor to put the books on there, to put the words on the books. So put on a coat, put on your body. They're really working on, put on books, put on your feet. Think how many times they're going to get to say the word on. By the end of reading this book a few times, they're going to know it, right? And then now you will be warm, and then there's warm. So you can also make your own books with PowerPoint. These were just some pictures I had on my computer, and you can, you know, put them together in a PowerPoint and make a book. This was one of my colleagues made this, me and my dog. She did the whole thing on the, as far as the title of the book, Me and My Dog, so they could say the whole thing. And then she just did very easy sentences. We sleep. We go. There's a teacher, excuse me, Gretchen Storm. She's at SLP, and she works in Colorado. She works in Littleton School District. She actually was one of our guest speakers on one of our webinars that is recorded and on our website. I can show you how to go find that. But what she does is just been really amazing, and she has most of her kids in this elementary school, most of her device users are actually reading with their peers in the regular classroom. And the way she's done that is really from making all these books. The beginning of the year, she gets the parents to send in pictures, and they make books, and she makes the books, and she puts the pathways on the books that go with the kid's device. And she hands that at the very beginning of the year, she hands that book to the paraprofessional that's working with the kid and just says, you know, if you have time, just a couple times during the day, just read this book with them. And she knows the kid's going to be interested because it's all about them. And what she's really doing is teaching the paraprofessional how to use the device. So then the paraprofessional, without being told, go figure out how to say "we go" on here, actually has the pathway and they can do it. So, and there's a little webinar. She talks about other things that she does, but she has some amazing results, and she uses all sorts of devices, not just Saltillo. So it works really good. Okay, any thoughts or things? I think I'm gonna try to show you. Yeah, I'm gonna try to show you on here before I go on.
Yeah, if you could show us how to access that, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there is the, this is Saltillo's website. So if you go to support and trainings and you go to recorded webinars and the guest webinars, if you go to that, so the ones that we have up here, and the one I was talking about was this one right here, the Training Communication Partners by Simplifying the Task of Modeling. And that's really what she does. And she gets the kids, she gets the paraprofessional who's with the kid all day to learn the device. And then, and they don't have one-on-one, so they move around a lot. So they, she does that, and then they all learn the devices, and then the kids are much more able to use them because there's somebody with them that knows it really well. The other there's two other ones on here that I think you might be interested in. Twin Powers Unite, teaching AAC core and the Dolch sight words. Maureen Castillo is also in the Denver area, and she does this training, and it's amazing. And she she got a grant, and so she was able to take a lot of data and had a lot of buy-in from her parents and teachers. And so it's matching the core words and the Dolch sight words, and the data that she has on how much the kids improved with their reading skills, their kids who were using AAC, was pretty impressive. And the other one that I talked to you about was the Tell Me AAC, the preschool classroom, the ones with those books. And this is Dr. Carol Zangari, and she did a webinar on that. So all three of those, and I think they're all about an hour, but you can, look, use them, watch them, whatever, on your own. There's a lot of good stuff there. So that's making your own books. In case you don't know this, there's two ways now that you can find Word Finder. You can turn it on under settings, and then when you do it, you type in the word. But also on the keyboards, Word Finder is not on Chat Editor, so I can't really show you. I mean, it looks like it's there, but it doesn't work on the Chat Editor. It only works on the devices. So on the keyboard, there's a button, and what you do is you type in the word and then say find word, and you will get it. On the Touch Chat app, that's one that's a little different in that you select the find word first, and then you type it in. So just play with it. Backup and transferring. If you don't know how to do this, it's really, really easy. And it's really important. Just had a student recently that I heard about that he got into the library and actually deleted his whole file because he was curious and looking at the rest of them and lost his whole file. So that was kind of sad. They didn't have it backed up. So I'm actually hooking up, you can't see this, but I'm on Chat Editor, and I'm hooking up a communication device. You can kind of see it in that little corner, right? Can they see that?
I don't see what you plugged in.
So I just hooked up my device, and it says transfer mode on my device. And on the chat editor, it says device is connected. So then you can go to the library and just select transfer. Vocabularies to and from device. So what it does, if I can move this, it shows you, this is the chat editor. These are all the files that you have, whoops, that you have made. Somehow I lost this. Okay. Guess I was moving around too much. Okay, so here we go. So on here, these are on the chat editor. Those are all the ones on your computer that you have saved. These are the vocabulary files on the device. So if I want to take this one that says Christine and move it to the editor, and just hit that, it's going to, that's it. So now, if you look over here, there is Christine. So then you say done, and you can disconnect this and go back over here.
Welcome to NovaChat.
Go back over here to the library and go to my resources, and Christine is right there. Select it and open it. And there I have her file. So it's really, you know, it takes 5 minutes of your time, and you will really be happy that you took that time.
That's for sure.
So you don't want to be crying like that, right?
That was me twice last night.
No. On the iPad, you can use iTunes and do the same thing, put it into Chat Editor. You send it to your desktop, save it on your desktop, move it over to the files into Chat Editor, and that works out really easily too. And you can actually now go from the Touch Chat app to a NovaChat. You can do that too. So we have a lot of students who might get trials on the Touch Chat app, and then when they get their own device, they've already done all the programming. So then it's really easy now. There's also a video here on backing up and transferring files, so you can watch that at your leisure. Texting, this is brand new, and there's a really great video. Can you write this down or somehow get it so that you can do this? I can just show you a little bit of it on here, in that it's in the newer one, so I'm going to make sure that I'm using a newer file. It's in the multi-chat ones too, but I'll show you on the word power files. So it's under social, and there's a texting page. So, of course, because it doesn't really work on Chat Editor, I can't really show you because it's not there. Again, maybe you can kind of see this. So what you'll see when you first do it is just a blank, page like this when you go to texting. You need to have a Samsung or Samsung device and you download the free chat SMS software from Google Play. And that phone needs to be close to you. The device can be locked. It doesn't have to be online or anything. And then if you had it connected, you would see all of the contacts and everything in there, and they can go back to their program, and they can type a sentence, and then they can send it to somebody. So there's this video explains it much better than I'm doing right now. So it's really fun. If you have high school kids and you're trying to get them to use their device, the texting works really well because they can use their communication software and text with people. So it works nice. So any Android phone, you do on the device, you need to go to Bluetooth settings and just say connect the phone, and it lines itself up. Pretty easy. So I showed you a little bit with the Saltillo pages with the training. Megan and I just opened up our own page, a Facebook page. And so the Facebook page has resources. We're going to try to put something, we're going to try to put something up every couple of days, and probably like once a week is probably what we're going to hopefully do with that. And so we hope people start getting a discussion. We really hope that this page is useful to parents in the community. Maybe they don't want to go on the whole Saltillo page. Maybe they would like to do it more with people that they know. So this is what we're hoping.
So with that texting, they had to have a phone. They can't do it on a NovaChat.
They do it on the NovaChat, but you do have to have a phone close by because it actually texts to a phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has to be close by, so it Bluetooths to the phone to then text?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure they show that in the video.
Yes, totally.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
And I can show you.
That's pretty cool.
Because you're here. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so when you go onto your device, I don't have that anymore. Do I don't have the side panel, right, to show this.
A side panel?
I was seeing like myself and other things up there. Is it? Oh, well.
If you show it to your camera, I don't know where that.
Oh, okay.
Those
It's just
went.
mine. Okay. So if I go to
Or something.
if I go to System, like somewhere around there, and then
you can maybe
Bluetooth
take it
settings.
off mine. Hold it.
Oh, okay. Good.
You'll be like a weatherman. Everything will be backwards, right?
Ooh. Not very coordinated this way. Okay, if you go to Bluetooth, then you'll see that it says use with phone, right? So you just do that. And it says that it's going to go to your mobile phone. If there's money that happens, if you get charged for texting, you will get those charges.
Oh.
And then you just go connect to phone. So it's now connected to my phone.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I just back up from there. So now I have all of my messages.
Okay.
And I can go to Mona, right? And here it says reply. So I'm talking to Mona. Oh, it's
Maybe over
backwards.
here. Yeah. From this camera.
Okay. So there's all my whole conversation that I had with Mona, right? And
So it
that's
just
all there.
pairs with your phone.
It just pairs totally with my phone.
And
And here's the reply. So I can hit reply and it instantly goes back. And it says enter the text to send to Mona. I can't do this backwards,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's hard.
I can say,
To give you a idea.
I,
Am eating.
okay. And then, so I have that, and this is what I'm going to say to her, because we seem to talk about food. And then I'm just going to hit that send button.
Then you'll really confuse her right now.
She'll be getting a text right now. And so then there it is. So, and that's it. When she answers me, I'll get a little notice up here saying that I get a little smiley face coming in. And in fact, my phone, I had a thing on here, so I have to do one thing on my phone. I have to make sure that that's another thing I should show you what it looks like, right? So this is the icon, that purple one up there, the chat SMS. So that's it. And then it says, I had to make it my default. And,
Oh.
okay. So now, actually, she answered me. And she said, for the webinar. So she knows what I'm doing. And I'm going to reply back to her, and I'm just going to say yes. And I'm going to send it.
That's neat. That's
Yeah.
Good.
So it works really good. You just do have to have a Samsung phone. It doesn't. They don't have an app for the iPhone. And actually, you can do something with the iPhones, but you actually have to be online. You have to do, I don't know if you know that, but whatever that is.
The iMessage, yeah.
Yeah, you have to do iMessage. That's what you can do.
Mm.
So with locked devices, you can't do it then, locked iPads, but you wouldn't have a locked iPad.
Yeah.
You went through that. That's a useless device. Don't do it. Okay. I think I'm done.
That's really neat. That's great.
So I
Plus,
showed
I
you
mean,
what's that.
you incorporate all those things, and the user's going to use it more, right?
Right.
To communicate. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
Look at communication. There's texting, and calling, and
Right.
talking. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
It's neat.
Cool.
It's great. They're putting focus on implementing that type of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
So, hello, Julia.
Hi, Julia.
So that's all you have today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
good.
well, there is the acapella voice smileys. You can see that. The realized language is wonderful, and it's now down to $10 a year. So.
Okay.
And you can get 10 different accounts on that, so that's wonderful. And then you can also, there's also the pages that are in there, and you can program them whatever to do Alexa, Siri, all of those. So you can use that.
Great.
So you can see all of that stuff online. Okay.
Tell me how that works then. It communicates with, like, Alexa?
Yeah, you got an Alexa?
Yep, she heard it.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so.
So it listens
Hey,
to
oh,
the...
oops, I did. Hey, Siri. Yeah. And you can,
Oh.
so there's just
Siri,
some
or-
things. Here's Alexa.
Hey, Google.
Yeah. I just want to get the volume up.
Julia loves Alexa.
Alexa. Play Twist and Shout.
Twist and Shout, remastered by the Beatles from Spotify.
That's great that she can hear that.
Stop. Alexa. Alexa. Stop. Alexa. Stop. Alexa. Stop. Alexa, what is the weather today?
So you have a page built in
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
you can automatically link to?
right. So it's just on the groups page.
Uh-huh.
There's a Hey Siri and then there's an Alexa
Oh.
one. Yeah.
And then this comes pre-loaded.
It's, yeah,
Good.
yeah. But you can
Customize.
make it, yeah.
Tell me something funny.
Oh, I didn't do Hey Alexa.
Alexa, tell me something funny.
Yesterday, and Alexa, how are you?
Little things, like electrons, or sea monkeys, or the 5 trillionth digit of 5.
She went on and on and on yesterday. I was like, what the heck? I thought she'd say fine, but talked about dinosaurs and
Really?
asteroids shooting across the sky. That's fun.
Funny.
Oh, that's neat. Good.
Yeah. I don't
It's
think
really
I had
cool
anything
they're
else.
incorporating all that in.
Yeah, as much as you can get somebody to use a device, the more
Yeah.
they're going to
Right.
be, you got to get them interested in
Sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. For the kids, sometimes it's not about communicating, right?
Right.
It might be about.
And then when they
using
need it,
Yeah.
they'll be able to
Yeah,
use it, hopefully, right?
Oh, that's really neat.